Okay, I've started on the rebuild of the Radialva. So this is the capacitive dropper, which is effectively replacing the resistive mains cord. I won't go into this in any detail because I went into it in a lot of detail on the last one that I did. So suffice it to say that this time I'm using a slightly different cap because I have one in stock. And so it means I have to change the series resistor a little bit. And according to the formula I need 17 ohms, so I've got a 10 and a 6.8 in series here. And hopefully that will do. So all this lot with a few blobs of hot glue will go in here. When it's all fixed, it'll go in there. So there we go, one capacitive dropper neatly hidden away. Mid leads flying, so I'll start wiring up those shortly. One thing I'm going to have to figure out though is I got a lot of this cloth covered cable, which is good up to 600 volts it says, and it's Teflon coated and everything. But it's a mess to trim it, to trim it and strip it back each time. So I'm going to have to figure out what's the easy way of doing that, because I'm going to be doing it a lot. And because yeah, you need a really sharp blade to cut through the fabric coating without making a complete mess of it. The Teflon's okay. So yeah, another little challenge to figure out as we go. So for the oscillator assembly, before I put it back in, I replaced all the sort of tails that are needed to connect it to the rest of the chassis, and I've replaced them all with different color wire, so it'll make it easier to trace them and locate them when the thing is back inside the chassis, and it'll be a little bit easier to figure out where each one has to go when I basically copy it off the other set. Okay, so that's ready to go into the chassis at this point. And there's likely to be a hiatus in building the Radialva for a while, because I need to basically build a fairly completed set of documentation. So what I've done is taken basically the only circuit diagram that I have and enlarged it quite a lot, and then printed out the different sections, so that section by section by section I can go through it and fill in all the missing information, so that when I come to physically wire it up, I'll have everything that I need. And so to do that, I'm going to have to, like for instance in the only circuit diagram you find, there's a line comes up here and a line comes up here, but then they don't go anywhere. And so I have to finish off where those missing pieces of the circuit go to. And then I'll have to put in the pin numbers, obviously, for all the valves, etc., etc. So that's going to take a while, and it's going to be done, I think, a lot of it by looking at the set that I've finished already and using that as a reference. There'll be another little hiatus, because as I said before, there's a couple of coils in this set that I don't have. They were not in the set when I got it, so I may have a detour into the mysterious world of coil winding. So when I've got all this done, when I have a very complete set of documentation for this circuit, then I get into translating that into the physical layout. And so what I've done here is I've prepared a really oversized, if you like, version of the underside of the chassis, so that each of the valves is laid out as you'd see it from underneath. And I'm going to make multiple copies of this, and so like on one I'll just put in the heater chain, on another I'll just put in the B plus and all that sort of stuff, and then I can check it stage by stage by stage before I start getting into too much heavy physical actual wiring. So that's all going to take a little while, and so I guess in the meantime I'll mess around with some other projects from time to time, and this will be going on in parallel. But yeah, I've never done a build from scratch like this before. And so with having such incomplete information to start with, yeah, I got to build up the technical doc before I can get heavily into the wiring and be able to check everything as I go to make sure I haven't left stuff out or I haven't put stuff connected up where it ought not to be. So, yeah, I'll just be working on this for a while.